sign-in sheet are on Zoom, please sign into the chat room indicating you would like to speak. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we have 4 members here of the board. We are 4. Are there any agenda changes?
No.
Okay, consent agenda.
Can I add something to that, just so it's clarification? I'm gonna let Chris, for the signage, digital signage, just give you kind of a rundown of what those 3 digital signage, what they are.
Okay. Yeah, before you vote on them. So we currently have a sign down there. It's about 8 years old, maybe 9. The seal broke and we've had this issue with the seal and it completely quit working. In October, we ordered some parts because we thought we could kind of go through it. The parts are currently TBD when we'll get them. We're not even promised to get them. But when Jared opened up the south side especially, it's all like rusted. And so at that point, we looked at the monies that we had. And Amanda made some phone calls to the state, and part of the ESSER funds that is really huge is the communication piece. And so they said it actually is a very good use of the ESSER funds for the communication. So then we sent Cindy out, kind of on a quest, for lack of a better term, you know how Cindy gets, to find some signage that possibly could hold up at our wedding. She found 3. I believe you have one quote is like 22 or 23, one quote's 26 and one's 28 or something like that. In speaking with the companies, I mean, no sign can necessarily always be built for our coastal weather, and especially the way our sign is facing that south side, we're just gonna do the best we can. So these are the best that we can get for that, you know, and she talked to Rogue and things like that. So the one that is, I believe it's 27.
27.
Okay, the one that's 27 comes complete with the sign and the installation. The other 2, we would have to find installation for. One at 27 also comes with a 10-year warranty. So if anything ever goes out, they will replace it. And the parts will be, for like, I'm not gonna say on demand, but it won't be like, oh, we'll never have them, or we'll have them 6 months later. If you've noticed, the sign actually hasn't been working pretty much since October. And it's one of those that it's just been going on and off. Like, we haven't turned the breaker. And I'm actually thinking, because we have a sunny week, it may just magically turn on. The other piece that is good about actually all 3 signs is currently, in order to change the sign, even like, for example, if school's closed, I have to literally go through Driftwood and log on to Nicola's computer and change the sign. So if it's school closure, I literally have to go there. With all 3 of these, but I think, actually, I don't know if it's all 3. I know it's for sure the one that's 27. It's cloud-based. So at any time, if we needed to update the sign, Jared could do it, I could do it, Ben could do it, Nicola or Carrie could do it from our house. So that's, we are recommending that we would do, is it the 27th?
Yeah. Mega LED.
Yeah, we are recommending that one based on the research that Cindy did. That's the one that we are recommending. It's a 12 to 16 week order period. So it wouldn't come in anyways till spring, which we probably really wouldn't want it. Put it up till, you know, spring when there's a least likelihood of it being wet, but I'm not saying that like for sure. But it would come fully installed, and Jared looked at the specs, like I said, with Cindy, and this was the one that he would also have recommended.
Was this part of the consent agenda? I'm just asking.
It was, but I thought you needed clarification.
Well, yeah, no, I do. I just had like question. Go ahead.
It's okay, I think we probably have the same question.
Please do.
When we're consenting to the agenda, are we approving that we're discussing this and we're gonna choose which one? Or are you guys?
We're gonna,
choosing
no,
which one?
that's why I wanted clarification.
Okay.
We are recommending that we buy the $27,000 one because it's installed. It has offsite potential, so you don't have to be on site to load it, et cetera. So that we are proposing to buy that particular one from ESSER $2. And that's the proposal. So and like I said, I didn't, having it in consent agenda does not give you that clarification.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yes. Is it the Alpha Series 58? So like this is the mock-up of our schools, and this is just a sample of.
Yeah, so ultimately, the one, I believe it is the.
That's all I wanted to know.
I looked at this so many times. I don't remember. Yes, and so it would pretty much be the same size of the current one there. This one we also liked because we could dim it at a certain time.
That's what I was gonna ask, can we, that was really my only question, like, can we turn it off at night? Because
So-
those are so bright and like, I feel really bad.
Yeah, we'll dim it. The problem is completely turning it off is that there are people who drive through, like parents that drive through town at night, that's their only way to get information. But this one, Jared has confirmed that we could dim it down, so it's not completely off, but you can still see it, but it's not blinding you.
Yeah,
So then I'm just clarifying before we do the consent agenda that when we consent to approve the agenda, we are consenting to approve the purchase of the $27,000.
Correct. That is correct.
Okay. So. And
it's all coming out of ESSER?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was one when Amanda called and spoke to them, they were like, this is exactly kind of what we're looking at. This is actually what she told you.
They said this is perfect use of the funds, this is exactly what we want to see in the communities and, yeah, they said they've approved several of these before and it's a great communication device.
Is there a limit on the amount of those funds that's available? I mean, if we wanted to spend a little bit more than that, for example, is that a problem?
No.
The only limit is the amount they give us and how we spend it, so.
Well, since the one you have failed spectacularly because of water intrusion, it occurred to me that it might be worth spending a little extra money, having a plexiglass, slip cover made for it.
Well, the problem with that piece would be, I think you'd have to have the company do it, or we'd lose the warranty, and I'm not sure.
I'm not suggesting you would open it in any way, or just be something you slip over it.
Okay, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna interrupt you there because that's a discussion you
Yeah,
can have with the
gotcha.
district office when you're purchasing.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for a motion for the consent agenda.
I motion to approve the consent.
I second it. I have a motion, I have a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Okay, I have a motion to approve the consent agenda. All of those who approve, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. Sorry, I'm looking over there because that's where Stephanie is usually out there doing this. Okay, do I have anyone on the list to speak tonight? Is there anyone in the Zoom, Stephanie?
There are no comments.
Okay, I have no one on the list. We're moving on. Tonight we have Amanda Carlton here for our educational spotlight. Woo-hoo. And she's also going to be speaking about chess club. So. Yes.
Paper first?
Yes.
All right.
Paper first.
Ladies. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Amanda Carlton. I get to teach social studies and coach basketball here at Civic High School. I love these kids. I love what they're doing. This is Isabella Jones and Brianna Huggins. Huggins, I was right. And these are two of the seventh graders that really were behind the driving force. So I teach a college/career class to seventh graders. And one of the things that we started getting into was journalism and what kind of education you need to be a journalist and all the other occupations that go along at a newspaper. There's still several very good newspapers in the country, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, New York Post. And there's so many different jobs and educational opportunities that come with especially scholarships for journalism. So anyways, we were exploring different colleges, different careers that you could do in a newsroom, ad sales, ad designer, journalist, editor. Brianna was actually our editor and did a fantastic job. So would you like to tell us about your experience?
I was selected to be an editor of the newspaper, and it was really a tough job because there was lots of articles in it, but overall it was really rewarding because I got to learn about how like you would write down all like the corrections and learn how to actually like use your grammar to fix things in the newspaper.
Yeah, she was so great with all of her peers, just helping them get moving. And I know at least one of you were able to see it, and I printed off some copies. These weren't as good as the originals, but if I could pass those out. Because I had to just copy them and not print them. Of course. And as you can see in here, so there's some really great advertising. Miss Isabella did almost all of the ad design in our paper, using what program did you use? Yeah, tell them about your experience.
I got to be an ad designer, and at first I didn't really know what to do, so I went to Canva and I just started asking Ms. Carlton what she wanted to be designed, and I would get pictures, and I put them into a slide, and then I would add headings in certain fonts to make it look like it would go with the pictures or like with the general idea of the page, and it would get approved by Bree, and she is the editor, so that's all.
Yeah, she did so much of the design and just, well, I'm done with this, and I'd be like, what do you mean you're done with that? That's supposed to take you at least 30 more minutes. But she was super great. And I wanted to bring Quincy here, but he was at a basketball game, so he wrote us a nice statement. This is from Quincy Converse, who was the lead journalist. And he says, before winter break, my class and me wrote a newspaper. I took the job of the head journalist because I love to write and I have very neat and legible handwriting. I wrote 3 stories in all, which I couldn't have done without my teacher and classmates who edited my stories, gave me ideas, and encouraged me on writing the newspaper. Also encouraged me on. Writing the newspaper also gave me the great idea of studying journalism in college or something like that. I give a big and special thanks to everyone who helped me. He wrote a bunch of stories, and as you can see, this is pretty well put together. I mean, the kids did a really good job. They named the paper. This was a vote we took in class. They named it the Pacific Times. They got to talk about all the different college educational opportunities. They got to interview their peers, and they got to interview some of the staff, which I thought made for a really good experience. Do you guys have any questions for us?
Yes.
Sir.
Do you have another edition coming out soon?
No, sir, since the time is pretty limited. I am gonna do this because we are switching. I won't have the 7th graders next semester. I'll actually have the 8th graders. So we will do a new edition towards a gift, probably towards spring break when we get to that piece. So there will be another edition. I would love to do more, but I do have 7th grade open just.
Well, is that something that, I mean, would you guys need to form a club or something? How would you? Or would it need to be a class, like a journalism class?
That would definitely be a Miss Nerock question.
So
Do you need more on your plate?
So we did have a journalism / yearbook. The class actually evolved a little bit more into yearbook. It depends really honestly on kid interests. If we have, 10, 15 kids are like, we really want to do journalism, we work our way to really try to offer that class. It's been more, like I said, more of a focus on a yearbook. This really just came about, like she said, based on learning about careers, which I think is a great way to do it. That's putting it into action. So
They know how much work it takes now. Looks great.
The young lady on there. What's your name again?
Brianna Huggins.
Brianna. How was it, having to edit your peers' work? How well did they handle that?
It was surprisingly really well and everything, like, it was really well written and good grammar usage, especially from Quincy. But there were a few articles that were more difficult to edit, but overall it was pretty easy.
And your peers were willing to accept that you're the editor and you had to make some choices? Okay, thank you.
We actually voted on it in class, because it is a big leadership position and everybody was like, Bree, yes.
Well, I think that's very awesome. I'm very proud of you guys taking the initiative to put all of this out above and beyond what your assignment kind of was. And I think that's one of the things that makes me the most proud of the students of our school district is how innovative they are and how much they're willing to do things from a grassroots standpoint and what they are wanting to do and how much our school district is willing to support them in that. So thank you.
I could just ask, would you girls like to do this again?
Definitely.
You'd like, would you like to like have a monthly or quarterly? Monthly? Great. Glad to hear that. You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you there.
All right, thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep, we're gonna keep going for the golf or the.
Amanda.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Go ahead and present.
Yeah,
For
Amanda
just-
and I do
yeah.
golf. I just introduced you for the golf club.
Let's go golf. Thank you, ladies. Have a good night. All right, switching hats for a second. Hello, my name is Amanda Carlson and I get to teach social studies and coach basketball here at Pacific High School. And today we're bringing before you a proposal that we can form a chess club. Right now, we are currently under the umbrella of the game club, which is great, but we'd like to expand and have our own clubs so that we can have our own ASB account. We have two individuals here tonight that I've brought, Kayla Sullivan and Wyatt Holm. Right now, Kayla is kind of the student elected president of our chess division and Wyatt is the vice president. Go ahead and scoot in front of me, kiddos, and Kayla, you go first since you're the president.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kayla. I'm 16 and I'm a sophomore at Pacific High School. Our chess club does meet officially, or chess division of the game club does meet officially every Monday to practice, but a lot of the students do come during lunch every other day in Miss Carlton's room to practice, studying different techniques.
Wyatt, I'm 17, a junior, and yeah, I kind of sit around and play chess at lunch.
We do meet officially every Monday, as I said, but it really isn't feasible to play as many games with the amount of students that have taken interest. We actually have over 60% of the high school student body interested in the chess club.
Great.
And chess is really an interesting sport and it's really good to use for our free time because students who do practice chess actually score higher in both reading and math, which I think is a good reason to have a chess club. And it's also a really fun game. Like a lot of people think it's serious, but with high schoolers, I guess nothing really is. Like we can all account very fond memories. Like for me, we were all playing in Miss Carlton's room, and since she has two or multiple chess boards, there were like 3-ish games going on, and it was really quiet in the room. And I had just taken a piece from one of our jump year students. There's no way she could get around it. It was her queen, and she was like, "What?" She flipped the board, and everybody in the whole room just started laughing.
It was an accidental flipping too, like she was scared, like it startled her to lose her piece. It was hilarious.
I was hoping that was an accident.
It was not an anger.
We laughed still, and then we, even outside of school, like we have an active chess.com that lets us friend students and like play online games for students who don't have access to technology. They use computers and, well, Miss Carlton's room, obviously, and we can have many games going at once. Like I can play Wyatt and all of the other members at once in different games, which is really, it's a really great site that we use.
But not during class time,
Not doing
ever.
ever, never, ever.
So you're presently stuck just playing at lunchtime?
Pretty much, yeah. And pretty much each game takes around 10 to 20 minutes.
Now, I used to be a pretty avid chess player myself. You don't play a chess game in 10 or 20.
Not a good chess game.
Not a good one. With like the time crunch, it makes it so that on occasion, it's hard to get on class on time, and a lot of students bring their school stuff for their next class with them to Miss Carlton's room. So when they're done, they can just grab their
They're being
things. and-
responsible for their own time.
Yeah,
That's a novel idea.
and we take pictures of the chess games that we can't finish,
So
so that we can reset them up and continue playing.
Why do you guys feel that playing chess can help with concentration and grades and things like that?
Well, I know that chess is like thought to be a pretty serious game, but in reality, it is a lot of fun. It's a good way to cool off. And with like the tactical part of it, there's so many different openings and so many different variables that you have to take in. So it really goes like, well, it helps you focus, yeah. And if you remember like, oh, I moved this piece here and I have this piece, I have to remember this. It kind of goes over to, you can use that thinking in many other aspects of your life.
I think Wyatt has a personal anecdote. How has it helped your academics?
Well, last year my grades weren't too great. And then ever since I started playing chess this year, my grades have gone up to A's and B's.
Wow, nice work.
Congrats.
That's awesome. Cool.
And then I would just like to add to what these kids have talked about. So they come in at lunch and they play chess, and they're welcome to come every day. I always have both boards full. But some of the exciting stuff is we've already set up with Dr. Nancy Keller. And now my oldest kids went to Coquille School District and then Bandon School District. But my oldest got to go to Minneapolis for chess. She got to go to Tennessee. She got to go to Philadelphia. Her and my second oldest got to go to California for national tournaments where they would place fourth place. So with the amount of interest that this small school has, and some fairly decent makings of players right here, we have some opportunities. There's local chess tournaments to which we can qualify for an actual OSCF, which is the Oregon State Chess Federation. We can qualify for their state tournament, which is in February. It doesn't give us a lot of time, but being a 1A school and having an entire varsity team, it's actually an OSAA sanctioned activity. There is a trophy just like you would get for basketball or football. And it's played in boards. So your number one player plays against the other team's number one player. Your second place would play against your other second place. And there's just so many opportunities for these kids. Aaron Grabinski, I'm not sure if any of you have heard of him. He's a local boy from Coquille, is now on the international circuit. He is almost a grandmaster. He got a $25,000 a year scholarship to Weber State to play chess for their chess team. So, little small towns in our community, it's possible. It's these kids, and if they have the interest, and I can tell you, Miss Kayla right here started off, and I played her the first time, and I'm like, oh dear, now she beat me. Little turkey, we have an issue with that though, because she had people come distract me. So that's lots of fruit, all the fruit. But there's also a tournament in Seaside, which is a super great opportunity for these kids. It's super fun. It's a weekend away. Mr. Taylor has offered to be the second so that we have a male chaperone. There's just so many opportunities. And if we can't this year, and no problem, we have next year. But while the interest is hot, I mean, you guys seen how many students signed the interest form. And we would have a strong varsity team.
Adding on to that, all the people that signed that was before their first period class. We got the whole form filled up before our first period class started.
That's awesome. Nice job.
You guys have any questions for us?
What do you need from us to? Or I guess, yeah, a question for us. We just have to prove it. Okay.
Could you use another board?
Mr. Taylor was awesome and he got one of his friends to donate 10 chessboards. We got 10 chessboards, 3 clocks and several notation books for the kids. So equipment wise, we're off to a really good start.
So with this being a new club, would you guys have to fundraise to go to the tournaments?
Yes, ma'am.
Got some ideas?
For fundraising? Well, from like can drives to basketball, like the 50-50 raffle at games, there's so many opportunities for us to fundraise.
All right.
I'd like to make a motion to approve chess club.
Go ahead.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion, a second to approve chess club. Is there any discussion? Okay, I have a motion to approve the chess club. All of those who are in favor, please raise your hand. Unanimous? Okay,
Can we high five?
congratulations, you guys.
Are you guys all in chess club too?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, great turnout.
So I'm very excited about that. My children travel to Coquille to play with Nancy. It's wonderful. Okay, we're kind of out of order, so we're gonna jump back and reports. Do you have anything?
Yeah,
to
so,
report?
we originally did the school board meeting calendar prior to and then never corrected it. Prior to changing our district calendar, we moved our actually moved spring break from the 4th week to coordinate with the state, so I propose that we move, rather than having a meeting, our February meeting on the 27th of February. So the meeting is scheduled for March the 13th, which is only 2 weeks. I propose that we move it back to the 20th, which is the 3rd week like our normal. Because we are actually going to school on the 20th, where originally we were not. So I'm proposing that we move the board meeting, if nobody has any real issues with that, from the 13th to the 20th. That's
Okay.
one thing.
Okay, I want to clarify that because I hear you talking about February and February 20th.
27th.
Okay, we're moving
So
the March meeting. to the
yes, back a
20th?
week, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. When I heard you, I
Yeah.
thought we were moving to February.
No, the February meeting is the last Monday, so it was gonna be, meeting, boom, 2 weeks, another meeting. Now that we know that we are actually in session on the 20th, and I propose that we move that board meeting back 1 more week.
Okay, sorry, and I interrupted you, but
No problem.
I'm
I'm
getting.
not offended.
Okay,
Okay,
So March 20th board meeting.
yes. If anybody has no issues then we're going to do that. We don't need a motion or anything. We just,
yeah, okay.
I'm fine with that.
okay. Okay, secondly, we have the forms for the concrete slab. Adjacent to the play shed at Driftwood, and all goes well. We're pouring the slab on Friday. The only issue is that Friday may be the only wet day of the week, but if it stays dry, that pour will happen on Friday. So it's getting close. And then we'll go from there. So we're moving in that direction, and it's gonna be a huge pour. Chad's not sure exactly, 4 or 5 loads, I guess, to do that. So it's gonna be a very large pour, and it's one pour. It's not going to be 2 or 3. They're gonna pour it in one, so. That should happen on Friday. All goes well. We will start the excavation on April 1st, thereabouts. for the cafeteria expansion. And when Elder, who is the contractor that got the bid, also does the concrete work and the excavation. So soon as long as we have a dry late March, early April, they will start digging and putting in those footings. So that's where we're at with those projects. That's all I have.
Okay, and maintenance report, that's not.
It is there.
It's in the packet.
Yep.
And Darren's is in the packet. Kristen's is in the packet. Did you have anything you wanted to add to it?
We're just finishing up kind of our mid-year diagnostics for K through 8. This is finals week. Really kind of hoping we get through it really successfully. So, and then next week we look at schedule changes. I look at grades to see if we need to do any makeup credits, and if so, how can we get those done? Other than that, our junior high boys are going. They're currently at Riley Creek tonight. Our high school teams are kind of in the midst. They're in the midst of their league schedule. Just busy around here. Brittany is actually, I forgot to put this on there. Brittany is working with some of my staff at Driftwood. They're doing an after school cooking club for grades 4 through 6. We thought maybe we'd get 15, 16 applications. We got 41, so we had to add another day to it. We had that class actually filled up by the next morning. We had 28 applications turned in one day. And then we thought, oh, we'll leave it and just see how many more. And then we got the other 12 the next day. So she will have 40 kids doing a cooking club, and I have, we're working on her, and I've been talking a lot about how can we get some funding to do some sort of after school activity specifically for the K through 6 group. Because currently the money we do have for after school activity is really only supposed to be for 7 through 12. So her and I spoke today about different funding opportunities that we can start looking for to get some more of those activities. So, I mean, we had 40 kids sign up for a class. They really want some of those activities, so.
Did all the gardens get funded? Driftwood? There was people were asking for funding to help with the beds or.
Well, so what happened with that is that it actually, Ready, Set, Learn, Judy, tell me if I'm correct. Had some money that they needed to use for, for lack of a better term, they needed to spend it. And they need to spend it in a way that can build community engagement with the pre-K in the community. We were so lucky to be able to use that money to extend while we were doing that. And we really did have enough in that money to do everything that really was in the scope of that project. While we were doing that, Kathy Bowden kept getting calls like, oh, can we donate? So it was great because not only are we getting some extra, so we're being able to add stuff to it. We were actually to take some of the money that we already had earmarked to finish that project and kind of add a little bit more onto that. So really those donations were just kind of above and beyond. And so right now they're down there working right now. Like Rhett Kreutzer donated his time to put in some gravel that somebody bought. And we're working on soil. I don't know where we're getting it from.
I've heard, but I'm not gonna say it
Okay.
because I'm not sure of my facts, but.
But I think that's being donated. And so really, we had enough money in that scope to do what we wanted to do, but people wanted to donate, so we're able to actually take it and make it for that. So.
And also address some of the things that were becoming problems with the original garden bed for like the watering and the whole irrigation stuff. So. It was a great collaboration.
Yes, it was.
So.
Krista, is there any way so it's been kind of a debacle with this like skate night deal in Port Orford, and I guess the last few skate nights there was like 30 kids from Driftwood showed up, which is a lot, and a lot of them got like new skates and things that are not necessarily easy to come by, is there any way we as a school district, is there any way you think we could support that with the city? Is there a space at the school?
Well, so I'm going to defer that to Steve because I'm going to tell you there is issues with our insurance on how we use it and with our maintenance. I mean, we put in brand new floors. We spent a lot of money for that. But Steve, I'm going to defer to you on that.
Yeah, I would put a major kibosh on using the driftwood play shed. We just invested way too much money to put a brand new thing in, and I know, and knowing what skates do to that would be pretty destructive. The outdoor area, you know, if the asphalt area could be used, that's a possibility. As an outdoor, you know, but only, of course, that's weather permitting, right? That doesn't help, but as far as indoors, one, and again, I think I would still need to consult attorney, because there's just not a good waiver.
Well, I don't even mean like, oh, let's have the kids skate at school,
Right.
it would be. I think as like the school board or two CJs or something that we can support to show the city like, hey, this is going on, because there's been some like kind of like political haranguing, but really it just comes down to they need someone there. The city needs someone there so that it falls under city insurance, like maybe people need to pay like $1 or something like that.
And well, the thing is, if I remember, because I do know what you're talking
Yeah.
about, is they have to be an actual employed by the city in
Yeah.
order for that to be there. So I know in my conversations with Jessica, 'cause I actually have talked to her about it.
Yes.
They are looking at that, but it's one thing to be like, oh, I'm gonna give you $1, because when you're employed by a public entity, you have to now pay PERS and all those different pieces. So I have talked to her about it. Because I've heard the kids talk about it.
Yeah,
And
I think
so
we just need to figure out like what that, and this is for a different day, but like, you know, what falls under part-time, no PERS and like, nothing required. I don't know the legislation. Like 10 hours a week or something.
I'll have Amanda come up with that, we'll send it out, what the limitations are.
I saw, that is a good after school, it's really nice to see all the kids doing it.
yeah, no, and the kids have talked about it and I've kind of kept, listened on it. And I did talk to Amanda about it, because one of the things I was actually approached about it too, because, they said, well, they do it in Coquille. And so I was like, well, let me call Coquille School District. Coquille School District doesn't do it.
No,
It's
they do
actually
that.
the city, but it's
Yeah.
under the Recs department. And Mr. Gallagher, who's the superintendent there, had high things, he said the kids love doing it. It's just, they support it, but it is a completely.
Well, like you said, they have a staff member there, and that's the difference. We don't have, the city doesn't have, so
Mhm. Yep.
something for the
Something
elementary
to that.
school.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? I think it's fantastic, once again, like more than 60% of our student body wanting to do one of the activities, the cooking activity. I'm specific.
The cooking activity, Brittany called me and was like, I need more money. That's literally what she says. And so she's like, I don't know how we can wait list. We only wanted maybe 20. How do you wait list 21 kids? And so we're hoping, Mr. Taylor and Brittany, I think I put in my board report, they're doing a dance after school activity. We're just looking for different things. The Cape Blanco basketball is using the play shed twice a week to do basketball practice for 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. So I think, one of the ideas I have also talked to Brittany about is really going to the library and seeing if we can collaborate with the library, because they do game club or different things like that. But that's one of the things that her and I are really gonna start working on, is where can we find the money to get some of these activities going on a consistent basis. And then along with money, then you have to get the personnel to do it, which we are finding to be somewhat hard to do a consistent on that. So see what we can do, what kind of partnerships we can get going on that. So.
Well, I would think that if we communicated with the community about, hey, we want to run cooking class or whatever we're trying to do. I think there's a lot of people that want to donate and help and are waiting, to have opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and Brittany's reached out to a lot of the community members. The part that really, that's not the issue. The issue is paying the personnel. And so when we start looking at paying our personnel, we're looking at some overtime for our classified. And then we're looking at, more, and it's not just like, you $15 an hour, they do it for 2 hours, it's $30. You're looking at PERS and.
Yeah.
So really, it's not about the donations in the community, because I'll be honest with you, we're doing a bingo night February 1st. And Gary Burns donated, am I supposed to say it?
Do it.
Gary Burns donated for one of the prizes, one of his hearts. For bingo.
Yeah.
So that to me is not the problem. It's about how do we pay the personnel on a consistent basis and how do we get the money to do that? Because when I look at how much we're paying just for the cooking club, I will tell you more than likely paying the people to be there is going to be more than the actual. So that's kind of why I said we're going out to look for those grants, more to pay for that personnel.
And sometimes that's the least thing that a grant wants to pay
Yeah.
for.
Right, it's staff.
Yeah.
Staff.
I hope I was supposed to say that.
Well,
don't go for the record now.
Well, Brittany was debating if it should be a surprise, but I think we just decided.
Yeah, it's not.
And I feel like that was a good decision.
Okay, new business, the HB 4114, Statement of Economic Interest.
You just want information on it?
Sure.
Because you can't approve it, it's just gonna happen one way or the other. So basically, it's the same one that Amanda and I do every year. Okay, it's interest gained via income via an entity, a public entity. Mostly school. So whether not, you can't work for schools anyway, so that's out, so you don't have 10% of your income because you're not working for the schools. It would be investment of or purchase or a purchase of property of which you may have made money on. So it has to do with whether the monies that you have made or family members via a school entity. And I can tell you that I have filled one out for 12 consecutive years. And all 24 answers are no. And I think you're going to find the same, you're probably going to find the same thing, but it is, like I said, it's an ethical situation, saying that you're not profiting from a dealing with the public entity. It's not a long survey. It's not, really, it's not a tough survey, but, and I said, it's not asking you where your personal income is coming from. Or is it asking you your income? It's asking you if any of your income comes via making money through a relationship with the school district. Okay, that's what it is. No.
See, it's confusing because that's not what their SEI website says.
Yeah, I know, but
It just
that's
says
what we
like
fill out.
all your information, like all your income, regardless if it's school related or not.
It says, what it's gonna say, you're not gonna ask for your income, it's gonna say, is any of your income made via working for a school district, or any kind of trade or a business trade with a school district. And I can say that in this district, none of you have any relationship with us. So it would be, for example, here would be an example. If we hired you to build to make a trail, and you would be profiting through us. Okay, that may or may not be an ethical violation. That would be one that we would have to look at. So you would be actually profiting via your business with the school district. So that may or may not be an ethical violation. So that would be once, if that were to happen, I would say the district would consult with an attorney prior to.
I know, I understand.
But that's what it is.
I get prickly about.
Well, I know.
personal
So when
privacy.
I think you won't be as alarmed when you see it as it may look, as it may look right now. If it's, like I said, and it says right in there that it's the same one that I do. And I don't find it personally, did you, Amanda?
Not at all.
No, I didn't find it doesn't appear to me that they want to know where I'm making my money. They just want to make sure that I'm not making it from Port Orford School District. or any other,
Well,
or any
you
other
are
school district.
technically.
Okay. It is income based and not via some other kind of trade.
So that, will that come to us in the email or?
It will,
Okay,
it will. And they will send it, SEI will send it.
okay. Okay.
Oh, right. Let's see, then we are up to reoccurring business, the superintendent search update. So everybody needs to remember that we have our meeting scheduled for January 31st. I don't remember the time. I think it was 5:30.
5:30.
I think it's 5:30, Judy.
5:30.
All right. So please remember that, those of you who are on the search committee, because that's an important commitment.
Got a confusing email about that. It says, please plan to attend the screening committee orientation meeting in person on Tuesday, January 31st. It begins at 5:30 and will be conducted virtually.
There you go. I think that they probably are saying it's being conducted virtually because of that new law that all of our meetings have to be virtual.
Okay, because
And stuff, so-
okay, that's not.
So the public could come and
All right,
listen like they come in on Zoom during these meetings and stuff, but the members of the committee are expected to be here in person.
that makes sense. The sentence says I would have to be both here personally and,
Yes.
all right, gotcha.
Okay, first reading of policies. Are there any questions? Phyllis, do you have any questions?
You wrote to them about the policy, didn't you?
Which one? Which policy? I'm sorry.
One that,
School board
you
transparency.
wanted to know if it was.
Oh, you guys can add the HB, the 4114. Add that sentence to that policy. I'm sorry. And so that's the reason it's being reviewed. We can add that sentence to the policy.
They've done.
So sorry about that. Yeah.
Do you have any questions about the first reading?
Then if I may, on the medications, we're going back to the original because our approved policy does not mention Narcan. Is that what it is? Yeah. Which I guess we just trained staff to administer Narcan.
We trained the administration, the two office managers and Ashley, to give Narcan and Nalox. I don't know how to say it. Just because I think it's prudent that we have the ability to, if this child or any adult or me or then, or breathe in any sort of opioid, that we have without this policy added to it, we would not be able to administer it. So this policy now says that we can administer it. We were trained last Friday by Lena Hawthorne. So that's the reason we added that to that, is so that we would be able to give that in case of an emergency.
And it's on page 2. It's an optional paragraph. We're going to go ahead and opt to put that in. So that's why you guys are reviewing it.
Okay, Bob, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, then I'm ready for, we don't need a motion because that's just the first reading.
Right, right.
Okay, so we're moving on, board comments. Don't have any reports to give tonight. And future agenda items.
We have guess, our future agenda items. Next month, we will be doing the local service plan. As always, the ESD local service plan. We will be reviewing our integrated guidance plan, which is integrated means that we're combining Measure 98 dollars, SIA dollar, EIC dollars, Perkins grant dollars, and what's the other one?
We don't get.
Something we don't get.
Something, oh, well, yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, so we get $650 in EIC dollars. Anyway, so those 5 grants are all combined into one now, with 5-year plans. Ours is pretty much complete. I think probably one of the only, or in fact, I think we were the only one last Thursday at the meeting that we're right down, we're there. So we will present that in budget form, how we spend those dollars in the month of February, so that we can submit that grant on the 30th of March, which everybody in the state has to submit it by 30th of March. Some will get them back, some won't, but I think ours will be good. So that is being done. We will also do the put the 2023-24 calendar out to be approved. Right now, they're going to be looked at between the next month, and then we'll bring the one that is being proposed from teachers and staff and administration. And that's it for the next one for sure.
Second reading.
And the second readings, correct? Yes, yes. That's what we have.
Okay. I'm open for a motion to end the meeting.
Make a motion. Go ahead, Phyllis. A second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to end the meeting. Any discussion? No discussion. I have a motion to end the meeting. All of those who raise their hand. Motion passes unanimous and the meeting's closed.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Phyllis, did you get the information that your email was hacked?